Hey everyone. So today we're going to take a trip down memory lane. It may not be a memory for you, but it absolutely is for me. So the deck that we're playing today is a quasi recreation of an old Vampires deck that I played back in 2010 when the original Zendikar block came into Standard. Now this deck utilized a lot of the more tribal vampires that came from the Zendikar plane. And the first thing you may notice when looking at the art in the vampires is they have a much more savage look to them. They're not like the aristocratic vampires that you would expect from Innistrad, but the Zendikar vampires have a much more feral, more tribal look to them. And you can kind of see that in this card right here with Gatekeeper of Malakir. It's like the armor is kind of chitinous. He's got the tribal makeup on. Like he looks savage. The art in this piece looks like he's walking out of a swamp somewhere. It's like it's very thematic to the Zendikar plane. And a lot of the other vampires from that plane shared that more feral, more tribalistic look. Other cards like Glaster Highborn and Vampire Nighthawk also shared that look. And I really vibed with these vampires when they first came out. Actually, this deck that I'm showcasing today was a deck that I played for over a year in Standard back in 2010 when these guys first came out. But rather than playing the black and red vampires list that a lot of the more aggressive players played, I actually played a black and blue vampires list because it gave access to Mana Leak and it gave access to Jace the Mind Sculptor. So my build was a little bit more slow-paced, methodical, thoughtful, rather than just all-out aggro. Now, granted, the all-out aggro did definitely work, but I was much more of a fan of how I built it just because it fit my personal playstyle a little bit better. And today I'm wanting to try and bring that old deck into current Standard because Foundations gave us access to a lot of those old cards again, hence Gatekeeper of Malakir. Now also, they gave us back Vampire Nighthawk. However, Tarkir gave us Qarsi Revenant, which is basically Vampire Nighthawk with an additional point of power and the renew ability that allows us to give his keywords to another creature, which is really solid. But let's take a moment real quick to go through the deck list and show you exactly what this deck is all about. So first up, we have 4 Phantom Interference, we have 3 Duress, 3 Tinybones. Granted, not a vampire, but a very solid turn 1 play. We are also running 3 copies of Bitter Triumph, 4 copies of Knight of Dusk's Shadow. This is another non-vampire creature in the deck, but again, fits the curve really well, and being able to shut off life gain decks is very important for this deck. So Knight of Dusk's Shadow definitely gets some play in this deck. Next up, we have 4 copies of Nowhere to Run for removal, 4 copies of Gatekeeper of Malakir. I really like the Gatekeeper because it's a 2/2 for 2, and if you kick it for an additional black, you get to make your opponent sacrifice a creature, which is really strong in the early game. Next up, we have 4 copies of the Preacher of the Schism, very solid creature. 4 copies of Qarsi Revenant, another very solid creature, and this deck's version of Vampire Nighthawk. And to top it off, we have 3 copies of Kaito, Bane of Nightmares, a really solid creature. Well, I'm going to say creature, but it's actually a planeswalker. But when you ninjutsu it into play, it comes into play as a 3/4 attacking ninja, and it's pretty good because you can ninjutsu into play off of a creature's vampire token or a Gatekeeper of Malakir, and then you can use that Gatekeeper again the following turn to get another sacrifice out of it. It's pretty solid. And if all else fails, you have Tinybones as a 1-drop to ninjutsu Kaito into play, and then just replay Tinybones for only a single mana. It's a pretty solid deck as of right now, and I've been upgrading and changing different elements of this deck over the last few days, and this deck has been doing surprisingly well. I'm a really big fan of it, and I'm definitely playing probably too much of this deck. It's been really, really fun. I love this deck a lot, simply because it has a lot of game against a lot of different decks, and I think that really comes down to the fact that we're playing a lot of disruption. We're playing 4 counterspells, we're playing 3 discard main, we're playing 7 direct removal in the form of Bitter Triumph and 4 Nowhere to Run, and we're also running for sacrifice removal in the form of Gatekeeper of Malakir. And then all the other creatures are just really good. And I've been playing against a lot of mono red and Izzet decks on ladder, and I think what really gives me the edge in those matches is the fact that most of my creatures have Death Touch. Typically, when you play against those decks, they want to play a bunch of spells to force you into bad blocks so that their creature survives. But if you have Death Touch, both creatures are going to die no matter what. You got Tinybones has Death Touch. You have Creature of the Schism has Death Touch. Qarsi Revenant has Death Touch. Even the Restless Reef, when it becomes animated, has Death Touch. You have a lot of Death Touching creatures in this deck that will just eliminate whatever comes into contact with it. It's a really underrated keyword, and I'm a huge fan of it. So yeah, you got a lot of removal, a lot of disruption, and just a pretty solid main board of creatures. So I'm a big fan of this deck, and we're going to play some games and show you just how well this deck works. So enjoy the games, and I will see you again at the back end of this video with the post-game wrap-up. Okay, opponent goes first. We have 2 lands, a Duress, Tinybones, Bitter Triumph, Gatekeeper, and Nowhere to Run. It's a pretty good interactable hand, so I'm going to keep it. Alright, they open with Mountain. I will open with the Underground River and a Tinybones, paying 1 life to get into play. Alright, we're going to torch the tower on the Tinybones. Alright, they play a Swamp. I will play a Gloomlake Verge. And I will play a Knight of Dusk Shadow. I actually really like that card. Simply just for its ability to make your opponent not gain life. It's pretty good. Okay, looks like our opponent is some form of Mardu. Very interesting. But so far, all they have played is a Torch the Tower. So they're probably a very reactive deck. A Zergo. Alright. Awesome. We got a Cavern of Souls. I'm going to name Vampire. Okay, and unfortunately, we don't have the triple black because the Gloomlake Verge. So what we'll do is we will attack for 2. They can't block, which is great. And then we're going to play Creature of the Schism. Make it so that their attack is a little bit less than ideal. Ooh, Warleader's Call. Nice. Okay, so they're probably still... Oh, I was expecting them to attack still. Okay, well, in that case, let's go ahead and hit them with the Bitter Triumph. I will... unfortunately pay 3 life to make it happen. Yeah, do that. Okay, then we'll attack. Make a Vampire. Hit him for a bit. I think we might need to remove the Gloomlake Verges for something else. They are hitting a bit of a snag in the mana curve when it comes to Gatekeeper of Malakir. Nariv, Part of the Storm. If a creature you control that entered this turn would deal damage, it deals twice that much damage instead. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Well, let's go ahead and attack. See what they do about it. Do they block? Block that. Okay. Fortunately, I can't really do too much about that. So we'll go ahead and pop, pop, pop. Does it mobilize? It does not mobilize, which is great. All right, so instead, I'm going to see if you have anything worth taking out of your hand. They do. Perfect. All out assault. That was actually a really good get. All right, they got one card left in their hand. You're gonna attack for 5. All right, 5 you get. Another Knight of Dusk Shadow. Man, this is really tripping me up. Okay, attack. Pick another dude. Put you to 5. I'm gonna end the turn and just hold on to my counterspell mana. Another land. Okay. Okay, they chose not to do anything. That works for me. Alright, next. Attack again. Draw a card. Those lands, man. Alright. Oh wait, cancel. That's not necessary. Yeah. Because the Death Touch will take care of it. Alright, let's go ahead and play a Qarsi Revenant now. I think that's that. I don't think there's anything you could play to win the game this turn. Yeah, definitely not. GG. Okay, so we get to go first. We have 3 lands, a Duress, a Tinybones, a Preacher, and a Qarsi. Let's get it. Alright, we're going to open with the Darkslick Shores and play Tinybones. Okay, they play a Mountain and a Monastery Swiftspear. Oh, they chose not to attack, huh? Alright, let's go ahead and go there. And then we will go ahead and sit next. Attack for 1. Alright, they decided to take it. So show me what you got in your hand there. Okay. Mirrored Bane Splitter and Monstrous Rage. Yeah, Monstrous Rage's gotta go. Palace Cell Sword. Fugitive Codebreaker. Interesting. Okay. Ow. Alright, let's go ahead and play the Cavern of Souls, naming Vampire. Then we're going to go ahead and attack for 1. And then we're going to play... What do we got there? We're going to play a Qarsi Revenant. Yeah, I think we did like take a lot of bite out of their hand by getting rid of that Monstrous Rage. Yeah, they're just playing a bunch of creatures now. You gonna swing? Nah, I guess not. Alright, Restless Reef. Next. Attack. Alright, taking the damage. And let's see here. So we got a Palace Cell Sword and a Bane Splitter. So I think we're just going to play a Gatekeeper of Malakir. Pick it. Make him sacrifice a creature. Choices. Alright, they get rid of a Monastery Swiftspear. Mountain. Probably gonna play the Bane Splitter now. Yeah, there you go. Alright. Ooh. Alright, big boy. Felonious Rage. Okay, so they're loading up the Ember Heart Challenger to throw it. Probably the Qarsi Revenant. Alright. Block there. Ow. Okay, go ahead and throw it now. Okay, just throw it in my face, huh? Okay. That works for me. Alright, let's go here. We're going to play Preacher. Then we're going to attack with just the Qarsi Revenant. Gain some life back. We got a Palace Cell Sword and a mystery card. Alright. Thankfully that does not grant trample. Happy about that. We got 2 mana available to cast a counterspell if need be. So I'm thinking we might have this. Okay, they chose not to attack. That's good for us. Heartfire Hero. Counterspell that. We don't like flingable creatures. Alright. Gloomlike Verge. Attack with that. Get 3 more health. And now we have 3 blockables. Each of them having death touch, which is great against these prowess creatures. They're thinking pretty hard about what they want to do. Felonious Rage, alright. Resolve, resolve, resolve. Alright, pass. You're gonna come at me? Oh, they sure are. Alright, let's go ahead and activate the Restless Reef. Alright, that's going to block there, that's going to block there, and that's going to block there. And of course they can't cast the Calisel Sword because they're not playing any black mana. Alright, whip to the little guy. Sure. Oh, perfect timing. Perfect. Get rid of that. Get him for 3. Gain 3 more health. End turn. Alright. Looks like this game is ours. Alright, let's go ahead and activate the Restless Reef. And attack. For game. And mill some cards while we're at it. Ow, ow. GG. Okay, opponent gets to go first. We have a Darkslick Shores, Underground River, Phantom Interference, 2 Duress, a Gatekeeper, and a Qarsi Revenant. I will keep. Ooh, a mulligan. And a Heartfire Hero. Alright, well, let's see what we can get rid of from their hand there. Alright, Lightning Strike, Turn Inside Out, or Burst Lightning. Get that Turn Inside Out up. E2 Lava Runner. Okay. Let's go here. Let's go. Let's wait. Alright. Got a second land. Pass. Go to second main. That's the Lightning Strike? Okay. We counter the Lightning Strike or kill one of the creatures? I think I just want to kill one of the creatures instead. Yeah. We're going to discard a card to make that happen. I think right now we want to get rid of the Gitu Lava Runner. Discarding... Let's discard the... Oh, nah, she's not the Gatekeeper. Qarsi Revenant. Discard the Knight. Yeah, take the 1. Perfect. Great. I'm glad. I'm so glad. Alright, kick it. Alright, get rid of that last creature. Yeah, it's fine. Deal 1 to me. I'm okay. Emberheart Challenger. Alright. And no attack. Perfect. Okay, let's go with that. Go next. Attack for 2. Alright. Qarsi Revenant. Yeah, I'll block that. Let's see if they have it. Oh, they gotta turn the side out. That's fine. At least his toughness doesn't go up any further. Oh wait, it will. Because they have another spell. Yeah. That's fine. Death Touch still kills it. Yep. Oh, perfect. Great timing. Let's play that. And also Duress you, just to make sure you don't have anything else. Alright, get out. Perfect. Love it. Okay, no problem. So that means we'll hang on to the Phantom Interference for a potential blocker next turn. I love this deck has game against mono red. Okay. Okay. Hopefully that's not a removal spell. Let's go to blocks. Block that. Okay. It sure was. Alright, we're gonna take some damage here. Oh. Perfect. Let's get the thing out of here. And then we're going to give lifelink to our Preacher. There you go. That'll just make sure you can't win this game. Ooh, a Heartfire Hero. A block? Sure. Deal one to me. You got it. Alright. Play the Cavern of Souls, naming Vampire. End turn. Okay, looks like our opponent has finally run out of options. Love to see it. Animate the Restless Reef. Make you mill 4. With 3 lands, wow. Perfect, Tinybones is here. Put him to 3. Play Tinybones. I think that wraps up this game. I have 18 health. I don't think they can do anything about it. No blocks. Sure. I'm okay with that. Alright. Well, just to add insult to injury, let's kill their last creature. You're damn right. Okay, and we are back with the post-game wrap-up. And what I gotta say about this deck is this deck works. I am so proud of this deck, simply because it's a deck that I used to play a lot of back in the day, and being able to bring a deck with this style into current standard after like 15 years of power creep and have it still work really well is really, really great. I am so happy with this deck. I really am. As far as MVPs versus cards to replace, I am definitely a huge fan of Gatekeeper of Malakir. Like, even in today's standard environment, this card does so much work. It is such a great card. Knight of Dusk Shadow, I'm going to be super sad when this card rotates, because being able to lock out your opponent's life gain for only 2 mana is so damn good. It's such a great creature. I love everything about Knight of Dusk Shadow. Big fan. Also, Preacher of the Schism and Kaito, Bane of Nightmares, really solid creatures. So the creature base in this deck is really strong. As far as cards that tend to be a little bit weak, I would probably only say Phantom Interference. If you draw it a little bit too late in the game, the counterspell portion of the Phantom Interference tends to drop off by quite a bit. But if you draw it early in the game when it's most relevant, then you're going to be setting yourself up for a pretty good time. Because like the counter target spell, unless his controller pays 2, is very valid in the first few turns of the game. But if you end up drawing it around like turn 5 or 6, once your opponent has their mana base established, it's not going to put up too much pressure against what they're trying to play. Unless they tap out for like a board wipe or something. Then it's still pretty good. Aside from that, there really isn't a whole lot in this deck that is weak. I mean, the Duress is almost always good. Tinybones is a great early game play. Bitter Triumph will remove anything. Knight of Dust Shadow is fantastic. Nowhere to Run gets around pesky Hexproof and Ward. Gatekeeper is great when your opponent isn't expecting it, which is often. Preacher, awesome. Qarsi Revenant, awesome. Kaito, awesome. It's like, this deck is so tight. I don't know what I would take out for something else. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe dropping a couple copies of Phantom Interference for maybe a different counter spell. Maybe 3 steps ahead. I don't know. But the way this deck works right now, I'm super happy with it. And I'm going to be playing a lot more of it. So expect more than one video on this deck on the channel this week. This deck is so much fun. So there it is. That is our deck tech for Dimir Vampires. So until next time, y'all take care of yourselves.